the Hotone Ampero and wanted to check out what the effects sound like and the IRs and how good it is and how practical. And I have it since a few days now and tried some things and wanted to share these. So I want to give some ideas of how this device works and what my first impression was. Also, in between, I will share some sound examples where I played a few of these standard tones that were already put in as presets here. I have to admit, I tweaked a few buttons so that the sounds would work better with the guitar that I have, but mostly I left the sounds the way they came when I unpacked the device. Therefore, I played a few loops using the looper that comes with the device when you buy it, and afterwards played a few short solos just to try out a few sounds. Right now I want to share some pros and cons as far as I can tell and as far as it concerns my own personal needs and preferences. So one thing that came in mind when I ordered a device made in China was that a few years ago these were mostly cheap and broke really fast and were not that practical. So I was really surprised that this device makes a real solid impression. It has a stable metal body, which looks pretty cool, I think. The knobs are made of metal as well, and there's nothing really wiggly or so. And even the buttons where you press down, for example, for selecting the presets, are also pretty stable. So there is right now a little piece of plastic on top, which I put there, but you don't have to do so. Normally they look like this and they're made out of metal as well. But I thought that it was easier to press down the buttons when the plastic was on. Also, you see that there is, if you select something, that there is a color shining, and it was a little bit more comfortable to look at the light with the plastic on top. Without it, I thought it was really bright. It's probably a little different on a dark stage, but that was what I preferred right now for testing. So like I said, I thought the body is really good. Even there is a tiny pedal attached to the side, and it has a very good grip on the top, and it is also made of metal. What I thought was really cool and was one thing why I wanted to check out this device in the first place was the back. It provides really a lot of thoughtful connections. There is an additional jack for another foot switch or expression pedal, which I tried, so the foot switch, and I just took any foot switch and plugged it in and it worked immediately. For the input, you could try different settings. For example, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and line. You have balanced outputs with XLR, coarse ground lift, aux in, and phones. I don't know if you need that, but You have unbalanced outputs as well to the balanced outputs with 1/4 inch TRS, just regular guitar cables. And you have, of course, USB and MIDI. So with these, you have really cool possibilities to connect these like directly into the main PA or to a DI box or into a computer. And that was what I thought is really interesting to check out. So like I said, I have the impression that the device is pretty solid and the buttons are as well, and they have little snap points, and if you turn them then it will snap to the next number like you can see, but if you turn the knob fast then the same amount of turning will make a real big jump. So for these 3, which are supposed to be easy access buttons for the preset that you have selected, you can just go there and make tiny adjustments to the sound that you're playing right now. I thought that was a really good idea because as far as I can see it, the touch screen is the main place where you would adjust your tones or make settings, and the other buttons are just there for a little really fast tweaking. You have this volume button and a main menu and value button, which works on every screen page the same. You just select whatever you want to, and then you can press the button and change the value that you selected. So that is basically all what you can do with these buttons here. I mean, you can almost do anything with this button, so that's pretty cool. And you can program these buttons the way you want to, which is also really cool. So the easy access buttons, you can either program over the control page, or if you go here in this quick access menu, then you can just select something out of the preset you're in. For example, if you want to go to the phaser, then it would show you here what you can assign to this button here. Or if you go to the delay, then you can choose from mix, feedback, time, synchronize, or trail, and assign it to this button here, which is really easy and a good idea. The knobs where you press down to select the preset are also really stable and also programmable. So right now I have it in the standard setting. That means if I press 2 at the same time, I can change the bank, or I can go to the looper, or I could go to the tuner, which by the way works really well and has 3 modes, so that you can choose from mute, then you won't hear anything while you tune, through, that means you will hear the sound of the preset, and bypass means that you will just hear your standard guitar sound. So what I wanted to say is, but you could also program these buttons to do something else, and that is up to your liking. These buttons I thought are also pretty good to handle, and one of the best ideas I thought was this button, which is called the control button. And the control button is also programmable with various functions, and that I thought was one of the best things that this device has to offer. So that is definitely a pro for me, because you can assign it to various functions at the same time, and that gives you the option to choose a preset, and then with this button switch on and off additional functions or sounds for that preset. That I liked a lot, because it gives you the option to come up with two pretty different sounds for one preset. And that is a huge advantage because this device only has 3 presets that you can right now choose without changing a bank. And changing a bank means pressing 2 buttons at the same time. And then you would automatically hear another preset. So that means if I'm here at 4-3 and I want to go to 5, let's say 5-1, that means I have to go up to 5-3 and you would hear 5-3, and then I can change to 5-1. That is of course not a good idea because if you're on stage you cannot hear another sound in between, or even if you have to change 2 banks, 2 sounds in between until you come to the sound that you want to. And 3 sounds per bank is not a lot. So if you would say, well, I need my clean and a crunch and a drive sound, then you already have these 3, then you have no lead sound and no additional effects, so you have to go to the next bank. Of course, that is pretty normal for a lot of devices today, but that is the point where I thought that the control button gives you way more options and is a really cool idea, because you could just make your crunch sound already a lead sound as well, or at least a crunch sound with boost, delay, phaser, or whatever additional effects you need right now. So that would mean you could have a dry clean sound and a clean sound with additional effects, and even more than one, so you can switch several effects on and off with this one button. You could have a crunch sound also with for example, boost and delay. You could have your drive comping sound, and you can also have additional effects like boost and delay, and you would also get a lead sound out of it. So you have all in all basically 6 effects here with this additional control button. The touch screen is not as perfect as you would know it from a phone or a tablet or something like that, but it works pretty well. It is not very big, but everything you want to do, you can do here. It is really not complicated to do so. What I liked second most about the device was that the touch screen, or let's better say the menu, was really easy to understand. It is very intuitive. I just started the device and didn't look at what the manual said. I just went to the screen and tried the buttons the way I thought they would work, and they actually did exactly what you think they would do, and that is a huge pro to me. I don't like it if you have to spend hours and hours just to get anything out of an effect device. So that I liked a lot. But I have to admit that I have one thing in the back of my head for the touch screen, which is not yet a con, but I guess it could become one. And that is the device after some time gets pretty warm. So it's not getting hot or anything, and it is a computer at all, so I guess it's normal. But a touch screen and a device getting warm is what scares me when I think of playing open air. I play a lot outside, and there are very hot days and very cold ones. And in general, touch screens don't like becoming very hot or very cold. I can't say it right now because I haven't tested it, but I think I will be very careful with this device, taking it with me on an open air stage. I fear that it might not survive or even go into a safe mode, or that the touch screen, if it gets cold outside, freezes and isn't working properly anymore. So I took a look at the manual as well, and it was really understandable and explained pretty good. As far as I can tell, the control button has different colors for whatever it is assigned right now. So for example, right now it lights up in green, and if I press it, it is red. That basically means you are switching on and off functions right now, for example, additional effects. In this patch, you can see the effect number 3 is assigned to the telephone line effect, and if I press the control button, it turns the effect number 3 on and off. You can also see it here at the on and off button. In another patch, you can see it lights up in blue, and that means that it is assigned to the tap function. So right now you can see it blinks in a medium fast rhythm, and you can see here it is assigned to the tempo 135, and if I press any slower than this, you see it blinks slower and the beats per minute number changes to 85. For other presets, you can also assign the pedal to a function, and then you can see that here is a additional light which turns on and off when you use the control button, and it is assigned to switch on and off the pedal function. You can also switch the pedal on and off by pressing down on it, but that was, in my opinion, not working 100% well, so I was mostly using the control button to turn the pedal on and off. The pedal works, it is also stable, but in my opinion, that was not the best feature of the pedal, since I don't know if you can see that. So the pedal is not very long, like it's shorter, way shorter than my hand, right? And it is pinned to the body around here. So that means it is not, so there's only a finger space where you can move it to the back, and there is most of the pedal which moves it to the front. It does make kind of sense, but in my opinion, for such a short pedal, it is too little space here in the back. So now the relation is so bad that you have to press down really hard to move it up. And then it, of course, it goes like super fast and jumps just in any position, and it is not easy to position it anywhere in between. Of course, it goes a little bit easier if you put your foot down on it than with your hand, but that wasn't, I mean, it is a pedal, but it's not a fully functional pedal that I would want to have on stage. Also, if you put, I mean, it is not big, it is probably like a small phone, but if you see, if I put my hand on it, it's smaller than my foot, then I already get really close to the control button. And that was one thing that I realized as well when I used my feet to control it. It is, these two are really close together, and it is not easy to not touch the button if you want to use the pedal. And on stage, sometimes things have to go fast, and well, that is a little tricky. I think you have probably to get used to that. The looper worked quite well and has the basic functions which are quite okay. In the manual, they said if you want to use it to the whole extent, then you should bring in another foot switch and put it here in the foot switch button, because otherwise you cannot control the whole looper with your feet while playing it. I don't need that right now, so I am basically happy that there is a looper at all, and I can use it for very simple loop functions. If you're using the looper, you can, for example, use the reverse the loop function or the half speed function. You have record, play, pause, and delete here on these knobs. So that is enough for me to just do some really simple playbacks or jam with the device. So the editing went really well as far as I can tell, but it has also a downside. In my opinion, most of the sounds are not usable in the way they come as presets. I know it is a thing of personal preferences and taste, and that's why I said in my opinion, but I think there's way too much effects. The delays and echoes are super long. It is basically not possible to use any of these without changing them. But like I said, for the demo, I tweaked a few buttons and then the device sounded quite good. I also have to say I liked it better to play the device with bypassing the amp simulation and use only the effects and use a real amp. I thought that sounded way better than the amp simulation, although they are not bad and you can hear them on the recordings. Also, in almost any cases, I switched off the noise reduction, which is not a bad noise gate, but in general, I just didn't like what it did. Although you have 3 different gates, which are not bad in general and might work for somebody who needs it, but I liked it better when it was turned off. Another thing that was kind of weird was when you plug it into your computer, you get a software, which I will show really quick here. And it is supposed to help you to build your own tones more comfortable. Also, you can back up all your tones and get other ones, since a lot of users made great tones with their own device and are happy to share it. I think that is a really big advantage. But one thing that happened was kind of weird. You have to download and install some drivers and software, and it did work at first and then it stopped working. I don't know why. And I had to restart, and then it stopped working completely, and I deleted it and installed it again, and it didn't work anymore. So I had to do a web search and invest some time until I found out that it is a commonly known problem and they have a solution, but you cannot find it very easy on the homepage, and they didn't write anywhere about it. So I had to go there and download that and install that and restart, and then it worked again. But I think in 22 that shouldn't be happening with a device that you get really new and it has not a working software that comes with it. So that was a real bummer. Another thing which is quite okay is the metronome or drummer that you get with the device. So you have several rhythms that you can choose from, and of course you can easily change the tempo and the volume or synchronize it to your tap button. That I thought was pretty good. On the downside, I have to say the sounds are not all too well. So again, for 22, these drum sounds are a little too artificial for my taste. That was kind of a surprise that somebody would use these drum sounds in a modern device. One thing that I liked a lot is the global page. Global sounds really boring, and it also looks like it because you have like the in-out settings, USB settings, MIDI channel settings, and so on. But some of these things here are really, really good. For example, you have a global EQ, which is like always on and helps you adjust the overall sound of the device. For example, if you want to play it into a PA or into an amp, and you already know how that amp sounds and that there is maybe a problem frequency which you want to boost or cut out, then you could use this and it will be always on for all the presets that you save or load. The display is also really cool. You can like choose different modes and different colors, really easy, and tweak that to your liking. And what I did like a lot is the in-out option, and that it is accessible so easy. So you go to global and to in-out, and you have the possibility to change the overall input level, and you can assign the unbalanced mode or the balanced mode to different functions. So if it should be line or instrument, and you can also, that is really cool, switch on and off the no cap mode for the different outputs. And that I liked a lot, because right now you have all the presets that you have stored, and then you want to plug it into a PA and you have your amp simulations programmed. But the next gig you want to plug it into an amp, and then of course you want to switch off your amp simulations, and you can do so just by going to global, in, out, and switch the no cap mode on for either both or only one of the outputs. So that means you could still plug one into the amp and the other into the PA. So there you would hear the cap simulations, and the other one would just be the effects, and you can, for example, plug it into an amp. So all in all, my first impression of the pedal is pretty good. After all, you cannot say this just by testing it for a few days or at home or at a soft volume level. I want to give it some more tries in a band context and in different band contexts with different sounds and at different volume levels. And I also am really interested to know what happens to the touch screen if the temperature gets hotter or a lot colder. I guess this effect unit has some cons, but also a lot of upsides, and I think for the price range where it is located in, as far as I can tell right now, it should be really placed amongst the better ones. I would say it is probably top 5 material.